Today's story, The Vanishing Virtuoso. The Grand Opera House stood majestically under the starry sky, its facade illuminated by elegant chandeliers that cast a golden glow onto the bustling streets of Metropolis. Inside, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. The audience, dressed in their finest evening wear, chatted excitedly as they settled into their plush seats. Tonight was the long-awaited performance of Eclipse of the Soul, featuring Isabella Rossi, the virtuoso violinist whose reputation had captivated audiences worldwide. Detective James Blackwood, a tall, rugged figure with sharp eyes and a demeanor of quiet confidence, was not here for leisure. He had received an invitation from his daughter, Emily, an aspiring violinist who idolized Isabella. The performance was a special occasion for her, and Blackwood, despite his gruff exterior, had agreed to attend in support. As the lights dimmed and the orchestra tuned their instruments, Blackwood took in the grandeur of the opera house. The ornate decorations, the gilded balconies, and the intricate murals on the ceiling spoke of a bygone era of elegance. He glanced at Emily, sitting beside him, her eyes wide with excitement. "This is it, Dad," she whispered. "Isabella Rossi is about to play." But as the first notes began to swell, an unsettling murmur swept through the audience. The spotlight that was meant to illuminate Isabella remained dark. The orchestra continued playing, but the violinist was conspicuously absent. Blackwood's instincts kicked in. He stood, scanning the audience and then moving toward the stage. Backstage, chaos reigned. Stagehands and opera house staff scrambled, their voices rising in frantic confusion. Blackwood found the lead conductor, Michael Hartman, pacing nervously. "Detective Blackwood!" Hartman exclaimed. "Isabella is missing. She was supposed to appear just before the finale." Blackwood's eyes narrowed as he surveyed the scene. He noticed a half-open door leading to Isabella's dressing room and decided to investigate. As he approached, the faint scent of expensive perfume lingered in the air. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. Isabella's dressing room was a haven of elegance. The walls were adorned with framed photographs of her past performances, and the room was filled with luxurious furnishings. Blackwood's eyes were drawn to a small, crumpled note lying on the floor near the dressing table. He picked it up and carefully unfolded it. "Meet me where the shadows meet the light. You know where to find me." The note was written in a delicate, looping script. Blackwood's mind raced. The message was cryptic, but suggested a meeting point. He recalled that the Grand Opera House had a private library, a secluded space where influential figures sometimes held discreet meetings. As he made his way toward the library, he encountered Emma Carter, the head of security. She was a woman in her early 40s, with short, practical hair and a no-nonsense attitude. She was examining a security monitor, her face set in a frown. "Emma," Blackwood said, "I need your help. I found a note in Isabella's dressing room. It seems to suggest a rendezvous point." Emma took the note and studied it. "I've seen something similar before," she said. It might be referring to the private library. It's a place not many people know about. The private library was hidden behind a false wall in a secluded part of the opera house. The room was dimly lit, with rich mahogany bookshelves lining the walls. Blackwood and Emma entered cautiously, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpet. As Blackwood explored the room, he noticed an ornate bookcase that seemed slightly out of place. He approached it and, with Emma's help, managed to reveal a hidden compartment. Inside, they found a collection of old letters and photographs, many of which featured Isabella Rossi. Emma's eyes widened as she examined the items. These letters, they are from someone named R.E. They mention financial demands and threats. Blackwood took one of the letters and read it carefully. The tone was urgent and menacing, suggesting that Isabella was under severe pressure. "We need to find out who R.E. is and what they want," he said. "But first, we need to understand why Isabella would be targeted." The investigation led Blackwood and Emma to delve into Isabella Ross's past. They discovered that Isabella had a complicated history, marked by both acclaim and scandal. She had once been embroiled in a high-profile case involving a stolen masterpiece, and her former mentor, Victor Albright, had been accused of fraud and had fallen from grace. Victor Albright lived in a modest home on the outskirts of the city. Blackwood and Emma visited him, finding the once-renowned conductor living in relative obscurity. The house was cluttered with old scores and musical memorabilia. Albright greeted them with a weary expression. "Detective Blackwood, Emma, what brings you here?" "We're investigating Isabella Ross's disappearance," Blackwood said. "We understand you had a professional falling out with her." Albright's face grew solemn. "Isabella was a brilliant talent, but we had our disagreements. I was accused of a crime I didn't commit. My reputation was destroyed, and I had no choice but to retreat from the public eye." Blackwood studied Albright's face, searching for any signs of deceit. "Did you have any reason to harm her?" "No," Albright said emphatically. "I've never wished her any harm. I was wronged by the system, but I would never resort to violence." Despite his protestations, Blackwood couldn't ignore the possibility that Albright might have a motive. He decided to continue investigating Albright's connections, particularly focusing on his associates and any lingering grudges. As the investigation progressed, Blackwood and Emma uncovered the existence of a shadowy figure known as the composer. This individual was rumored to orchestrate elaborate schemes, and had a reputation for disappearing without a trace. The composer was believed to have a vendetta against Isabella, stemming from an old competition. Blackwood traced the composer's known associates, and found a lead pointing to a secluded estate outside the city. The estate was a sprawling property with a grand, dilapidated mansion and overgrown gardens. Rumors suggested that it was a hideout for individuals involved in illicit activities. Blackwood and Emma approached the estate with caution. The mansion was covered in ivy, its windows dark and uninviting. They entered the property through a side entrance, using flashlights to navigate the darkened interior. As they explored, they discovered a series of hidden rooms and compartments, filled with strange artifacts and outdated technology. In one of the rooms, they found a diary belonging to the composer. The pages were filled with cryptic notes and detailed plans for a series of devious schemes. "This diary is a goldmine," Emma said. "It reveals the composer's obsession with Isabella and his elaborate plans to ruin her career." Blackwood pored over the diary, piecing together the clues. It became clear that the composer had been using Isabella's talents to exact revenge on those who had wronged him in the past. Isabella had unwittingly become a pawn in a larger game. With the evidence from the diary, Blackwood and Emma began to piece together the full extent of the composer's scheme. They learned that the composer had planned to frame Isabella for crimes she didn't commit, using her to discredit her and sabotage her career. The investigation led them to a series of elaborate traps set by the composer, designed to mislead and confuse anyone attempting to uncover the truth. Blackwood and Emma had to navigate a maze of false leads and misleading clues, all while staying one step ahead of the composer's machinations. One of the key revelations was a hidden recording device in Isabella's dressing room. The device contained recordings of conversations between Isabella and the composer, revealing the extent of his manipulation and threats. With the evidence in hand, Blackwood and Emma set a trap for the composer. They arranged a fake performance at the Grand Opera House, using Isabella's return as bait. The plan was to lure the composer into making a move, allowing them to catch him in the act. The night of the performance arrived, and the opera house was filled with a buzz of excitement. The audience was unaware of the ruse; they believed it was a real performance. Backstage, Blackwood and Emma prepared for the confrontation, their nerves on edge. As the performance progressed, the composer made his move. He attempted to disrupt the event, but Blackwood and Emma were ready. A dramatic confrontation ensued, with the composer revealing his true identity as a disillusioned former colleague of Isabella's. The struggle was intense. The composer, a man in his late 40s with a disheveled appearance and a bitter demeanor, fought fiercely. But Blackwood and Emma, with the help of the opera house's security team, managed to subdue him. Isabella was rescued and returned to the stage, her reputation intact. The Grand Opera House erupted in applause, and the performance continued as planned. The audience was none the wiser, their evening unmarred by the dramatic events backstage. In the wake of the dramatic events, the Grand Opera House returned to its former glory. Isabella's career was restored, and the composer's plot was exposed. The media coverage highlighted the bravery of Detective Blackwood and Emma Carter, who were hailed as heroes for their efforts. Isabella thanked Blackwood and Emma personally, her eyes filled with gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "You saved my career and my life." Blackwood smiled, his gruff demeanor softening. "It was a team effort. We're just glad we could help." As Blackwood and Emily left the opera house, the city's skyline glittered in the distance. Blackwood felt a sense of satisfaction, knowing that justice had prevailed and that Isabella Rossi had been given a second chance. The Grand Opera House's curtains rose once more, and as the first notes of music filled the air, Blackwood knew that the city had been given a new beginning. The vanishing virtuoso had found her place once again in the spotlight, and the harmony of justice had been restored. Next story, The Silent Alibi. The city of Riverton was known for its charm and tranquility, making it the perfect setting for the annual High Society Gala. This year, the event was hosted by the affluent Hartfield family at their sprawling estate on the outskirts of town. The estate was an architectural marvel, featuring manicured gardens, a grand ballroom, and an array of luxurious rooms. Detective Laura Bennett, a seasoned investigator with a keen eye for detail, attended the gala under the guise of a guest. Her presence was unannounced. She was there to enjoy the evening as part of a discreet investigation into recent reports of suspicious activities among the city's elite. The Hartfield estate was buzzing with excitement as guests mingled and exchanged pleasantries. The host, Evelyn Hartfield, was a gracious and poised woman in her early 50s. Her husband, Charles Hartfield, was a distinguished figure with a reputation for philanthropy. The couple was surrounded by influential guests, including business moguls, politicians, and celebrities. The evening was progressing smoothly until a sudden commotion erupted in the library. Laura, observing from a distance, noticed a change in the atmosphere. The guests were whispering among themselves, and a sense of unease hung in the air. Laura made her way to the library, where she found Evelyn Hartfield slumped over a desk, a look of shock frozen on her face. The room was in disarray, with papers scattered and a spilled glass of red wine staining the carpet. Laura immediately recognized that Evelyn was dead. The room was cordoned off, and Laura took control of the scene. She was introduced to Charles Hartfield, who was visibly distraught. "Detective Bennett, thank you for being here." Evelyn was. "She was my everything," he said, his voice cracking. Laura's first task was to interview the guests and staff. She spoke with various attendees, including Michael Thornton, a wealthy businessman with a contentious relationship with the Hartfields. He had a reputation for being ruthless in business deals. Sophie Blake, Evelyn's childhood friend and a renowned artist. She was known for her volatile temper and jealousy over Evelyn's success. James Whittaker, the Hartfields' personal chef, who had been working at the estate for years. He was known for his discretion, but had recently been seen arguing with Evelyn. Clara Matthews, the estate's housekeeper, a quiet woman with a hidden past. She had been with the Hartfields for decades, and was seen acting strangely around the time of the murder. Laura also examined the library for clues. She found a hidden compartment in the desk where Evelyn had been found, containing a set of old letters. The letters revealed a mysterious affair and hinted at a long-standing family feud. Laura's next step was to delve into the personal lives of the suspects. She discovered that each had a motive. Michael Thornton had a business rivalry with Charles Hartfield. Evelyn had recently intervened in a dispute between them, which might have put her in the crossfire. Sophie Blake was envious of Evelyn's social standing and had a secret affair with Michael Thornton. Evelyn had threatened to expose their relationship. James Whittaker had recently been demoted, and Evelyn's harsh management style had created tension between them. There were also rumors of him being involved in a questionable business deal with Michael Thornton. Clara Matthews had a history of financial struggles and had recently been blackmailed by someone who knew her past. Laura conducted a series of interviews to verify alibis and uncover hidden connections. She learned that the night of the murder, the guests had been scattered in different rooms of the estate. Each one had a plausible alibi, but Laura sensed that something was off. As Laura dug deeper, she found inconsistencies in the statements given by the suspects. She discovered that Michael Thornton had been seen entering the library shortly before the murder, but claimed he was merely retrieving a document. Sophie Blake had left the party early, citing a headache, but had been seen leaving the estate in a car. James Whittaker had been in the kitchen during the time of the murder, but had a key to the library. Clara Matthews had been in her quarters, but her movements were unaccounted for during the crucial time window. Laura also learned about Evelyn's secretive nature. She had been involved in a project that was closely guarded, and her recent behavior had raised concerns among her close associates. Laura received a breakthrough when she discovered a hidden security camera in the library. The footage revealed that Evelyn had been arguing with someone shortly before her death. The video was blurry, but showed a shadowy figure approaching Evelyn. Laura analyzed the footage and identified a crucial detail: a distinctive ring on the figure's hand. The ring matched one that was worn by Sophie Blake, who had previously been seen in the vicinity of the library. Laura confronted Sophie with the evidence. Sophie broke down and confessed to an affair with Michael Thornton and a confrontation with Evelyn. Evelyn found out about everything, Sophie said. She was going to ruin us all. I just wanted her to stop. Sophie's confession revealed that Evelyn had been blackmailing her and Michael, demanding money to keep quiet about their affair. Sophie had gone to the library to confront Evelyn, and in a fit of rage, she had pushed her, causing Evelyn to hit her head on the desk and die. Laura's investigation took an unexpected turn when new evidence surfaced. A letter from Evelyn to Charles Hartfield was discovered in the hidden compartment of the desk. The letter detailed Evelyn's plans to leave Charles and start a new life with Michael Thornton, which would have ruined Charles financially and socially. The letter also mentioned a meeting with a private investigator, who was later identified as the person who had been blackmailing Clara Matthews. The investigator had a motive to silence Evelyn, as she was about to expose his scheme. Laura uncovered that the private investigator had been working with Sophie Blake to cover up their tracks. The investigator had staged the crime scene to make it look like Sophie was the culprit. Laura assembled all the suspects for a final confrontation. She revealed the true story: Evelyn had been murdered by the private investigator, who had manipulated Sophie into confessing. The investigator had been motivated by greed and a desire to protect his secrets. Sophie was devastated by the revelation. She had been used as a pawn in a larger scheme, and her actions, though driven by desperation, had led to Evelyn's death. Laura exposed the private investigator and his accomplices, bringing them to justice. The case was resolved, and the truth was revealed, but it left a lingering sense of betrayal and loss among those affected. In the aftermath of the case, Laura Bennett reflected on the complexities of human nature and the lengths to which people would go to protect their secrets. The Riverton High Society Gala would be remembered for the tragedy that unfolded, but it also served as a reminder of the importance of truth and justice. Charles Hartfield, though devastated by the loss of his wife, was grateful for the resolution. He vowed to honor Evelyn's memory by continuing her charitable work and ensuring that her legacy lived on. Laura bid farewell to Riverton, her work done. As she drove away from the Hartfield estate, she thought about the people she had encountered and the impact of her investigation. The silent alibi had been solved, but it had left her with a deeper understanding of the shadows that lurk behind even the most refined facades.